So yeah, I totally agree. They have to be able to set up mid first. Set up those duo, Shark and Hoon, so that their side lanes and even MOBA Zayn have less to think about. More so now that there is a huge target on MOBA Zayn's Frederick.
Then again, they are going up against the team that, well, know how to set up first and set the tempo first. Let's see who can actually do that. In the draft, Vamos already setting the mood. They're saying we are respecting the Low Yi of Hoon, the Fredrin of MOBA Zayn, as Leo mentioned, and there goes the Bruno of Zia, but we're seeing 2 chibi bans from BTK.
Yeah, this is one of the faster drafts that we've seen all season. I mean, Swiss rounds happen, teams have been taking their time, right, to maybe innovate, talk about the next couple of steps. These teams, they're blowing it out of the water really quick, and it's all tended towards signature picks. Now, as you mentioned, 2 bans towards Chibi's side in both the join as well as that Hayabusa. It makes me question whether or not they want to also get rid of the Hilda.
All right, Hylos still open, Cho at large, Eve at large,
Valentina as well.
Dear God, what has happened? Because of the targeting of BTK onto the jungle possible picks, all of these are open. Do we see Blue Yo? Does Chibi do that?
I don't think it's too strong of an opening right now with so many picks still available. I think the Cho is probably the most stable one for Vamos.
All right, let's
On the other hand, I think it's a good gambit. You're forcing MOBA Zayn to pick something else.
There's a lot of questions up in the air right now. You're right there with the 2 assassin bans. It opened up a huge field of picks as it is Blue Yo for Vamos. BTK can steal away the Cho here. They don't need to rush for their alpha, if that's what they're thinking of. And there's the Jushin falling to the hands of Hoon.
My God, not even 5 seconds after the pick, BTK are indeed locked in.
They know exactly what they want to do against Vamos, and I expect nothing less from this team. Now, Vamos, on the other hand, previously in their matchup yesterday, a lot of, especially with high damage side laners, right? There's a lot to come down to how do you open up the map, and more importantly, where does your jungler start? Because you want to rotate to a lane where you can actually enable the gank. A lot of macro feints were played yesterday, and that's something that BTK want to deny. Have those concussive blasts, make sure you can open the map safely with this chill, and more importantly, hold it as that flex pick.
What are they going to put in the center of the map here for Vamos? Warlord lived up to his name yesterday as a Valentina. Are they going to lock that in? Nope, it's Sicilian for the mid, and they go for Glue in the EXP. The Sicilian is a little bit of a signal if they're going for a little bit of a later power spike, while Glue somewhat can be the bridge to that. If ever things don't go that well the early, you have the EXP later to hold your early well to minimize the damage. And as expected, alpha for BTK.
It is a safe pick, but just the same, you're not threatening Warlord onto Sicilian. Nothing in BTK's lineup says so far we can reach the late game hero in Sicilian, but there's still a couple more picks left in the second phase. They could just make this go all the more faster, so Vamos don't even get there.
There's a fun fact on your screens right now. Before every match, Chibi tunes into Rosie's song to get in the zone, Apata. You guys actually like that song? I do. I love it.
I don't know. The first time I heard it, I thought it's just AI collaborations to make sure they put all the best hits, the best hooks, the best rhymes all into one song, and then I realized, wait, somebody put that together themselves.
Yeah, it's just Bruno Mars.
It's Bruno Mars. I should known.
Contrary to popular belief, and just a quick palate cleanser from the draft, very intense, very quick. I think it's a great song. I think it's a well-written song.
Come on,
I think just the way we listen to it over and over again might run it out.
Right now, as we look at the draft and we reminisce about how great a song Apata is, I'm trying to determine who's dancing to whose tune right now in the draft. Is it Vamos dictating it secretly? Is BTK, with how fast they're picking, actually the ones dictating it?
I think Vamos has a song of their own. The fact that they went Glue Sicilian was a clear tell. It's because they don't care what BTK were doing. If BTK picked something that goes way into the back, that could have been something else besides the Hayabusa, the Alpha. If somehow MOBA Zayn picked up a Ling to find the Sicilian, sure, whatever. But I think Vamos are slightly going back to their day 1 and day 2 Swiss form. Yeah. Is that just me? Except it's not a fighter, you know?
Well, I think it's a lot more refined this time around. They're not blind picking and trying to make hard reads on their opponents anymore. It's very responsive, right? You show the Jushin, therefore you don't have to worry about Vixana or Farmus anymore, so now you can guarantee the Glue after seeing the ban in that Hilda. So even if we do see Phoveus later down the line, at least Smooth will be able to handle it. However, I do think that at the very least, the Quad ban is interesting because it's kind of treating the Sicilian as if it's a Yve, you know? Don't let that backline access be possible, and they also get get the Aura to deny playmaking capabilities to hopefully sweep him underneath the rug.
All right, there's the Beatrix on the side of BTK.
So you have like a half answer to the back line. You just try to snipe it.
Yeah, a half answer. You know what a full answer might just be? If that's a projectile shooting gold laner for Vamos, run back an old Shark favorite. Put the Joe in the EXP and get the Lolita for Shark. It's a pick that has fallen out of favor greatly, and that might mean the center of the map might be a little bit difficult to control control for BTK. But hey, it's an old poison.
And you have Shark's number 7. That's Shark's number 7 hero in M6.
Oh. And speaking of number 1 heroes, let's carry, and it's the Carmilla Sicilian combo that Vamos brought out in the playoffs of MPL Malaysia.
Yep, they've done this in the regular season of MPL MY as well. It's going to make teamfights really annoying to deal with for BTK in particular, because now the real question is, do we want to kind of charge at Vamos? They could still technically lock in the high loss if they wanted to, but then it's kind of that toss-up of like, do you want to sacrifice the glue or do you want to sacrifice the chill? Either way, it's not going to be a good time for the EXP.
Yeah, no, the high loss is a no-go here at this point.
Yeah.
The carry was ran into the high loss yesterday repeatedly by Nets, so you don't want to do that. I don't know, I'm 50-50 on the Lolita. Nice read though, I think. What if Akai?
Oh, Akai, either the EXP, but the Terizla. Just get a frontliner heavy for Chicken that can help set up, and they're just going to be fast clearing EXP, getting out, and then just committing ultimates.
Very low to the ground for BTK. They want to go fast.
Okay, Vamos get their Carmilla Sicilian combo while a low to the ground. Humble draft for BTK. Let's go, Marco Brigida.
Thank you so much to our panel, and we are now finally about to enter the first series of the last day of the Swiss stage. It's Brigida and Mirko bring you the action. And I must say, I agree, this is probably a refined Team Vamos, but it's still Team Vamos. They bring out the Sicilian Carmilla.
Listen, as long as Warlord gets an actual mid laner, I'm fine with it. You know, he hasn't really been performing on the Gata, the Khalids, but Warlord, he's known to do, make a lot of plays, especially on the Valentina. Now he gets himself on a carry, a Sicilian.
And I like how they're sticking with their signature picks and of course their identities, as this is a match everyone is definitely looking out for. It is the clash of servers, ladies and gentlemen, and we are now about to enter the land of dawn. Let's see what happens here, because Zorn, he's clicking those recalls really early into the game, but I must say, I am actually wondering about how the aggressive mid duos will play out in the early game, because this is a Sicilian Carmilla. I know recently Sicilians have been a little bit more aggressive in the early stages, but against this lineup, it seems like they're being the more aggressive mid duo right now.
First blood for Zorn already. You can see, I guess that answers your question, that your doubt about the Sicilian and also the Carmilla. It's a great combo, Shark. Doing a good job now, just holding it in. And all right, he'll still be able to get Hoon those minions.
Yes, and everyone, don't forget to check out the M6 pass available from the 18th of November up to the 29th of December. Complete all the active tasks during the event to reach level 75 for free. You get all the amazing rewards, including the battle emotes, the avatar borders, the special skins, and of course Claude's M6 exclusive skin and their prime skin. You'll also get a chance to get the figurine you see in the panel desk later on. When we head back, you can check it for yourselves, but for now we'll be heading back into this game as well, because after that kill onto Hoon, this might just be a game where they have to be extra careful this time, especially as Chibi. It seems like he's on the hunt already for another kill.
Definitely. It's already very, very aggressive start for Vamos here. The fact that they have the Sicilian and Carmilla, we know the interaction that you have now, an additional skill to utilize. But what I do want to talk about a little bit more is the fact that BTK have gone and opted to, have gone for the Terizla.
Yeah.
This Terizla has actually been the counter for the longest time towards the glue in the matchup, right, in the 1v1. And that's why you see the Festival of Blood here for Mr. Chicken. He wants to stay in the fights a lot more, and he knows he's going to be able to outdamage the glue.
And it seems like we're about to see it for the first time. How are they going to play around all the AoEs that are possibly going to be present in the upcoming team fights? Because they're just holding on to the turtle, and we've seen Smooth perform on the glue as well yesterday. He performed so well, just keeping on interrupting all of the members, but it seems like Fried Chicken goes in first, but how will they respond?
Wait, the dragon, Lock and GB down. Ooh, great Lantern Flare. MLBB still on the smooth. Retribution not ready just yet. He goes over to Spirit of Alpha instead of the fight here, and it goes to Zorn. Securing the turtle. Gets knocked up. Curse of Blood knocking Hoon up. Now Smooth has done what he can. It will be a trade, a kill for BTK for Vamos, who gets the turtle.
Zorn has gotten first blood, and he also secures the turtle for Team Vamos. What is up with Zorn for this game? It seems like he's really confident in everything that he does. But now Shark definitely seems to want to go for the attempt. But there's another thing you have to consider if you are Shark in this game. Both Nets and Warlord, your primary targets, they're on Purify. So that might be quite a difficult job for Bloodthirsty Kings as well, especially as they haven't secured the best possible early game for their lineup.
It'll definitely be tough for BTK here, because for Vamos, all they need to do is technically go even in the early game, right? As long as they're not too far behind, I would say, 3,000 gold behind is still actually okay for Vamos with this kind of composition. Because all they need to do is wait for the Sicilian and the carry to get to those item power spikes. Meanwhile, for BTK, like you said, it does rely on them getting the mid game a bit more compared to Vamos, or way more compared to Vamos. So the fact that Vamos secured Turtle 1 means it's a big win, actually, for Vamos.
Yep, they don't get to entirely interrupt like MLBB and farming all the attention. We're literally seeing it here in the mid lane. It's more on Shark and Hoon versus Zorn and Warlord, and it seems like for I don't know how many times now another fight might be brewing here in the mid lane, but White Chicken seems to be able to poke Zorn so well now. He might be the first to fall, but look at the passive from Warlord.
Just calls him back. Whoa! Zorn go back in. No more Crimson Beacon. MLBB goes over to Spirit of Alpha to the back. Chibi goes for the Soul Sever. Hoon. Rave Smite. That's a way to Dragon from Shark to lock him down. Chibi will be taken out by White Chicken. No, it's Shark who gets it, but it's Rage. Zorn fallen. MLBB still dealing with the glue. Now pops the split. Smooth gets away, but it's great for BTK as they set up for the second turtle.
Talk about timings here. Just when we thought Team Vamos already got out of all the possible threats that could be brought by BTK, BTK decides that no, they're not stopping that fight. They're just proceeding with it and caught Team Vamos off guard, especially as both Zia and White Chicken, they were there, they were ready. Even Zorn, I feel, just weren't really able to expect all of that pressure, and he couldn't just go back in and use the Curse of Blood, knowing that he's so low on HP. But Shark, though, might find himself alone here and will be taken out.
Oh.
But there's the flicker, and he will survive.
Good flicker out, respecting the damage from Team Vamos. Though that was a bit greedy from Shark, trying to go for the purple buff steal, though it all actually almost worked out.
Yeah.
Chibi, 0-2 currently, actually. Yeah. Chicken will be poked quite a bit, has to use the DPZ, that's the defensive penalty zone, to escape. So Vamos are still scaling up quite well. Again, for BTK, they need much bigger of a lead here to deal with Vamos' mid-game power spike.
Yeah, I think the Apatu that Chibi listened to earlier isn't really working just yet, but then we find MLBB in a very tight spot. Team Vamos just take him out, but I think there's a trade up top.
Okay, Net still has a Purify. Zia will get some free hits onto the turret. Shark walks up earlier. Net's able to just dash away, and that is a kill for a turret tier 1, but then Vamos continues it with another turret down below. So again, becomes a great trade for Vamos. 2 for 1. Chibi shoving the wave as well, forcing Chicken to catch that wave. And both teams now are just playing it super safe, waiting for the next neutral objective before maybe it becomes that fight that they want to look for.
I also do think that BTK, they just want to focus on the map right now, because as we all know, probably the True and the Jushin, in terms of early burst or follow-up for all those Way of the Dragons, might not be the best combo, especially if you're behind. So they're probably waiting for Zia to take part in all of the team fights for them to be more effective, more efficient. And as we all know, the AoE that's present in BTK as well. Just one beautiful penalty zone followed up with either the Bennett's Rage or the Nibiru's Passion. I think that could set things up a lot for Team Vamos. But you could say the same for them. They have the Curse of Blood. They have all those Bat's Impact, Bat's Feast from Warlord. So equally the same. Whoever sets it up first and better for either of these two teams, they'll definitely gain the upper hand, especially as there might just be another potential team fight here in the Turtle Pit.
Mid prio for the Bloodthirsty Kings. That's a conceal. Smooth will be targeted down with the split 2. That's Bennett's Rage. Smooth taken out. Penalty zone from White Chicken. Locking new members down. Forcing Nets to use a Purify. Zia goes in. Chibi wins it out. Zia will be able to get a double kill now. That's G Kundo onto 2. BTK collapse on Vamos. Chibi's taken down, but he will be able to survive. BTK with a winning team fight. But again, it was Chibi who got the turtle.
Yeah, and that was a very aggressive play from Zia, flickering in just to chase after Nets. They got the upper hand. happened either way, but there was still a trade that went into the hands of Team Vamos. And speaking of trades, Chibi, knowing all that they've lost, will just try to shove the top lane a little bit, but clearly BTK, they're taking control of the mid game right now against Team Vamos. So you would think that they'd probably rely on scaling a little bit more, but really, we were expecting a much more aggressive version of Team Vamos earlier. I mean, this is still the Suyo. This is still the glue of Smooth. So now that they're being unsuccessful in terms of all those interruptions, this is a surprising turnaround for BTK.
I would say this is the strength and also the problem for Vamos, right? They are really good at stalling out the team fights, utilizing the bad impact to just deal consecutive damage. BTK are much better in an all-in type of fight. So if BTK get a burst down on the front line, Vamos are technically almost just forced out completely out of the fight.
Yep.
So for Vamos, they gotta make sure that Smooth gets the backup necessary. If Shark goes for the kick, they need to cancel that kick quick.
Yep, but the difference maker as well is Fried Chicken and his timings of the penalty zone.
That's true.
It wasn't like they didn't attempt to do just that. It was more of like Fried Chicken, he also went in with the penalty zone, tried to separate the other members of Team Vamos, therefore rendering all of these possibilities impossible for them. But speaking of possibilities, there's the Curse of Blood, but it doesn't hit much from BTK, and MobaZane seems to be the first to fall.
That's a full lockdown. It's going to be a 1-for-0 trade right now. Hoon goes back to the mid lane. MobaZane is down. Vamos, they've been able to get some big pickoffs there with the chain CC, and again it happens through the Curse of Blood of Zorn. But it's not just the Curse of Blood, man, it's that Petrify as well. Always just catching MobaZane point blank.
I mean, they were so committed in that. The Curse of Blood, it didn't necessarily connect to 2 or more members of BTK, but all they needed was really just MobaZane. But now speaking of Smooth, he goes in as well, but the damage is there from Zia, but the Lord will now fall into the hands of Team Vamos. All they did was just zone Mirko. They didn't engage in a team fight.
It's clean by Vamos. This honestly doesn't even look like Team Vamos from the Swiss stage that we've seen. They're such a high tempo kind of team. They always want to go for fights, and now we're seeing more of a, you know, Vamos kind of like, let's go, right? It's
Yeah.
just chill. I don't know if that works, but they're just playing it so chill. After getting a win, it's just pure discipline. They play back for the Lord, and again, there's no real reason for them to fight with this composition, just constantly dishing out damage, but it's a Melfic gun already. Oh, man, that poke. Hoon already chunked in the mid lane. The Curse of Blood. Ooh, MobaZane forced to use the Spear of Alpha defensively. White Chicken goes in, isolated himself, and Nets just disintegrates him on this carry.
They still get to take down the mid lane turret, and they still have the Lord as well. So they're definitely looking to take out more turrets from BTK, especially with the Fried Chicken down right now. So there are lesser chances of them going for the counter engage. But speaking of, Shark, he might just not commit the way of the dragon. So now they gain access to the mid lane turret, but there's the Lord here as well in the bottom lane. So at least they know that there are still possible setups from BTK, but let's see how this goes, because it seems like their focus will just be solely on the Lord.
They'll still be able to clear the Lord. It is Lord 1, but Vamos, to remind you guys back at home again, we've been saying this countless times, I'm starting to sound like a broken radio, but the fact that Vamos are not behind in the mid game with a Sicilian and carry, this is great for them. The Curse of Blood almost connecting to Zia, but it's Rage not hitting any of the members. Vamos are happy with these trades. Even if they don't have a goal lead, they're still happy at this moment.
BTK, all they really have to rely on at this point is the amount of wave clear that they have, because Team Vamos, they're just constantly putting out the pressure towards BTK. I wouldn't think that BTK, knowing that they have a lot of housekeeping to do, would be confident enough to look for an engage towards Team Vamos, especially considering all the available resources. Like we've seen earlier, Zorn, he moves fast on his own, but he can also get the passive, take advantage of the passive to survive. But speaking of the Menace Rage!
Whoa, that was a lot of damage. Sky Piercer for Hoon too. You can see that execute. And I guess for Bloodthirsty Kings, you were talking about the damage, the wave clear they have, but also, I guess, the pick-off, right? That's something that BTK can still bank on in a lot of these team fights. It's just, when you pick off, you can only really pick off the front line.
Yeah.
Nets and Warlord, I don't think they can actually get to them without getting the frontliners. So, again, Vamos are chill with it. They lose smooth. It's still a smooth game plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to think that that's still smooth. I mean, it's one of the tankier heroes here for Team Vamos. But this just goes to show that BTK, they've already gotten enough items, possibly for Z as well. They just need to be extra careful in terms of where they are going to position themselves, because Zorn, he can really just catch them off guard anytime he wants. Cast the Curse of Blood, even just to make them move away or actually split up. And this is the important part. I know this is just the enhanced Lord that we're talking about, but it is very likely that either of these two teams who get their hands on this Lord will get their hands on the base turrets as well. And now it seems like Team Vamos, they're the ones a little bit more confident in terms of moving up and scouting the members of BTK. But Smooth, he has to be mindful of all these pokes as well.
Oh, look at Chibi. Dealing with damage. Chibi! Oh, all the way alone, but it's Rage! Chibi is down! Isolated all the way now. Penalty zone from White Chicken. Mobazane will not decide to go with the Spear of Alpha. It is a Purified down for Warlord. Zane gets caught in his Angry Claws and almost gets deleted by Nets. And you can see the damage output that is ready for Vamos. BTK with a one-member lead.
I mean, that could have been the difference maker, right? They could have just went straight after the Lord, but now that BTK, they're aware of the damage in the hands of Warlord, they still go for the Lord either way, but for Vamos, they have to be careful this time. Sword might be the next to fall. He gets to flicker, or he gets to use the passive to get away. But still, Team Vamos, it seems like they wanted to go for the attempt.
They definitely needed to, right? Again, they have the range to actually deal with BTK. It's just they just don't have any ways to retry it. Chibi should play it way safer. This is within their power spike. There was no reason for him to be flanking like that, especially considering he targeted Shark. You're not killing Shark. That's a toe roam.
I don't know if he knew that there were other members there, but I think at this point it's impossible to expect Shark to be alone. There will always be someone out there waiting for the setups, ready to provide the follow-ups. And now it's Team Vamos on the defensive side. BTK, they'll definitely take advantage of this. Shark might just be looking for a target. There's still the Curse of Blood. They can use that if they want to defend, but they have to be mindful because the poke coming in from BTK, it's no joke at this point. At least they have Warlord. But then right now, BTK, they can definitely gain a lot more access to Team Vamos now that they're in this position, but look at the damage!
Oh, that was a mistake from Zane, the Spear of Alpha to his demise! And Team Vamos are able to defend BTK. They'll have to move back. Both the junglers making crucial mistakes.
I don't know what's happening anymore. I mean, that Spear of Alpha might have been a misclick, or it maybe should have been towards the other members of BTK, right? There was no way they still wanted to go for the engage at that point, because the other members of Team Vamos, they were already chasing after them. Now, they gradually move out of their base and attempt to regain control of the map. And this is another thing we definitely have to look at. I mean, both of these teams, I would say they really would specialize in team fights when it comes to their overall compositions. It is just a matter of who will be able to disrupt the positionings a lot more. All of those team plays that may happen. And speaking of team plays, Food will fall!
Oh, you can hear Malaysia here in the M6 arena. They are going wild. Mobazane going to be stunned up. The Bat Impact as well. Two members of the Bloodthirsty Kings have been taken down, and Vamos have been able to neutralize the lead of turrets. The base turret in the far lane that BTK had to play with. Now it is gone, and it might be the end for BTK in game one. Zia trying to go for the defense. Vamos have a wave in the mid lane. Mobazane trying to go for the cut right now. As Zia gets chunked low by the arrow. The Bandit's Rage comes down. Zorn will go in very deep. Zane taken low. White Chicken, they need to go and cycle it through. That's going to be the penalty zone onto all of them. But again, it's Nets who is targeting the turret, the base down. Game one for Vamos.
Team fighting was all that mattered for Team Vamos. And they just had to wait for the perfect opportunity. Such a close fight, but at the very end, it's still Team Vamos who gets the game and secures the match point.
Match point for Team Vamos with a home ground advantage.
I need to hear our panelists' thoughts on this game. Let's throw it over to our panel.
That was dramatic, to say the least. Could have gone a different way, but hell, Vamos, great comeback, fantastic comeback by Team Vamos.
I don't know about that one. I felt like this definitely was the dark side of the moon for both of these teams. Like, inconsistency definitely was showing. Vamos having a bit of an awkward, like, mid-game, even though BTK had that lead. And then that final, out of nowhere, Spear of Alpha into the base. I'm not sure what happened there.
Anticlimactic is the word I would use. The siege, the trade for that top lane inhibitor on both sides of the map definitely felt like neither team saw that coming, and it was Vamos who went for the jugular. The opportunistic instinct in the hometown anti-heroes definitely made the difference here. And is it just me, or is it so evident that the mental is so important in this matchup?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we really hyped up about these two teams, how well they can get into the heads of their whichever opponent you throw their way.
Or stay in their own.
That's the thing. I feel like at least when it comes down to their consistency, yes, they can have some of the highest highs and some of the most incredible plays in the world, but their lows look abysmal, especially when you've seen these highs before. Like, as we go into this postgame, the score is 8-8, 16 minutes. Tell me Michael Bay ain't happy about this.
It felt like it was a game of punishing errors. One team sniffs an error, a little bit of an overstay, a little bit overextended, you're showing the wrong person, then anyone, it's usually Warlord and Sorn and Shark and Fried Chicken who immediately jumps on it.
And it's a miscalculation of damage incoming. And the worst part of this all is the mistakes that Vamos made aren't as capitalized by BTK compared to when BTK slipped up. It was lethal. I'm looking at the last 2 minutes here. I'm looking at, again, Mobazane using the Spear of Alpha into the full-on lineup of Vamos. And that one moment up top where Hoon did not see the pop coming from Warlord. Whatever it was, the Sanguine Claws or the impact that took him out of the map, and suddenly BTK were down 2 men.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things could be hard analyzed in terms of these fights, but I think definitely both of these teams need to polish back up here. They need to pull out that Brasso to give that a little bit of shine here, because as we saw in this game, BTK, honest to God, had a solid lead over Vamos, and it's very hard to let it go unless you make these kinds of mistakes. And the only way that Vamos had to, in a sense, recover is to make sure they take fights on off-tempo beats so they don't lose major objectives. And as you see in the gold, both Nets and as well as Chibi were trying to hold on so that the gold lead didn't run away too far.
Yeah, to be fair, Vamos, it seems like with that early Sicilian pick, also picked a hero that would be great at punishing errors. That's one of the strengths of the Sicilian. His reach, his crowd control, and the burst in the latter portions of the game punish errors so well, and that's exactly what happened in the end there with the Spear of Alpha from Mobazane.
And to be fair, the two players we haven't really mentioned much are the heroes in an island of their own, the players in the gold lane. Zia and Nets, they both built a Wind of Nature. And looking at both lineups, neither team have, in-your-face physical damage. For Zia, I'm guessing he knows that he's the linchpin of this lineup. He's saving himself from Chibi. Nets isn't going to find him. Nets is a much shorter range marksman. On the other hand, Nets looks at BTK's lineup and saying the same thing. None of y'all can find me, save for a snipe from Zia. So that's me looking at it and saying, yo, these gold laners did the job 100% correct. It's just the map setup wasn't there for them. And again, the punish from Warlord. I think this was a nail in the coffin. The fact that this added that whole mechanic for Zorn to protect him gave Vamos one more life, one more strike, so to say. So for them, it's technically 4 strikes for out.
It is. Because again, the main issue with the lineup coming in from Vamos is if Warlord, our MVP, stands too close to Nets, it's a guaranteed engage specifically from Fly Chicken. That's why you don't see him using his flicker very generously in a lot of these fights and would rather just throw out the penalty zone, because that's how important the battle spells in this game is. Now, the counter engage, on the other hand, especially when you have the Carmilla, who can play aggressive, disappear for half a second, can also be used the opposite way around. If you're engaging on me, Warlord, I just pick up my Carmilla real quick, throw him in front, drop that ult, and pray to God that you're able to walk away from that fight.
One thing I appreciated about this specific game, though, was that the trades that they were taking and finding leading up to the mid-game. It started with the fastest first blood in the tournament so far at around 35 seconds, set by Sorn onto Hoon in the mid lane, and then multiple trades. It's Shark, it's Chicken, it's Sorn, it's Smooth, and it was just both teams playing around that, leading to the major objectives. That I appreciated. But then as it got longer, you see a little bit of a panic setting in maybe, a little bit over-eagerness to find the right positioning. The best way to put it is they were living in their own heads rent-free.